Good morning, good evening, and welcome to this week's chat. Those of you that are here watching live, you will have noticed I started a little late, and believe it or not, it actually was not intentional, considering the topic of today's stream. And I am not immune to the irony of what is going on here. In this discussion, I wanted to talk about preparing for failure, and not so much in the sort of more metaphysical failure as no one coming onto the streams, no one not that kind of failure. I actually want to talk about failure of systems, failure of your software, failure of your hardware, failure of going live on time, which is very ironic. But this is what I want to discuss in today's talk. So if you are here for that, buckle in, grab your beverage, kick back, however it is that you consume this video or audio content, and welcome to those that were here on time for the live stream. So I want to start off by saying hello to live stream consultants. Thank you so much. Doug was here on time as well. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate you always. Home Rapid Repair is here in the chat as well. Michael Sahovsky. It's so good to see. Greetings, programs. Greetings, programs? I'm not sure what that means. Okay. Must be a system error demo. It was not intentional, but, I'll take it. If it's going to happen on any stream, this is the one. This is the one. A practical demonstration of today's topic. Cool. She may have to go live from her phone. That is always a possibility. That is always a possibility. So in my mugs today, I have the old Yeti out, Russell. I was thinking of you this morning. I nearly put it in a coffee cup, but I popped it in the Yeti. So there's coffee in there. And I also have my bubbly water, which I've become obsessed with, which is just, tap water, chilled, and then gasified in a, what is that called? You press the button and I can't think of what it's called. My brain just went, Soda stream. That's it. Okay. So, I just lost track of time this morning. Funnily enough, I was actually playing with my lights, and then I've looked down at the time and went, whoops, better sit down and hit go live. And then just as I was about to, my camera went all weird and I had to turn it off and restart it. So, thank you, Michael. I appreciate the clarification on that one. I really do. So if you are watching live, if you could share this stream out to those that you think that are in your community or within your regions that you think would be interested, I'd really appreciate that. I may have forgotten to tweet out my stream today because I was messing around with my lights. I believe it or not, I'm like, my on-air light's getting a reflection, and I moved the shelf. So, the things that we do, the things that I lose focus with is usually the technology. One of the big things I want to talk about is our streaming softwares. To go live, you need some way to go live, right? So whether or not you're using YouTube directly or Facebook directly or Instagram directly, those instances are a little different. If they fail, it usually means no one can go live. So there's nothing you can do. But if you're like me and tend to use more third-party encoders like StreamYard, Ecamm, OBS, vMix, Restream, EVMux, Prism Live, like the list is long, okay? The list of options is long. What I want you to do is to start practicing and getting comfortable with an alternative. So whatever you're using, I want you to find an alternative that you can live with and get comfortable with it. So I like StreamYard. I like Ecamm, so I'm quite comfortable with both of those. It's been a long time since I've OBS'd. Actually, it's pretty much since I got the Mac Mini, I haven't done much in the way of OBS at all. So I'm going to make sure I get comfortable again. Now, the advantage with OBS and Prism Live, they're free. So you can have them in your back pocket, and it doesn't matter if you don't use them for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, whatever. The downside is if you don't use them that long, which we're looking at me again right now, is you've missed some updates and things may have changed. So you want to be comfortable with them at all times. So not necessarily so much alternating between them, but just sort of going in and double checking if things have changed. So go in, make sure you're happy with it, make sure you can get the stream that you would want with it, and then go back to whatever your first preference is. Now, while this is true with our streaming softwares and making sure that we are comfortable in our alternates, okay, and this is what I'm trying to get us used to, is comfortable. I'm a suspenders and belt kind of girl. 1 equals 0. If I only have one option, I have no options. So if it's just that's the one you have to go with. That's not an option. That is a default. That's what you have to do. So I like to have at least 2 options for pretty much everything. So 2 options for my microphone. Right now, I could switch. I don't know how hard it will be, but I can totally switch between 2 microphones. Anyway, my point being I should have tested that and I didn't. So, yeah. But I do have a second mic here and it is a USB mic. So if something happens, wouldn't it be nice if StreamYard had a way for you to be able to see if your audio was working directly on stream without having to check a setting? Too many buttons. There are a few too many buttons. That's one of the advantages of the little Rode AI1. It's like, is it working? Is it not working? They're your choices. So I'm assuming you guys can hear me now. You were expecting it. We were expecting audio difficulties. Yeah. Can you hear me is the question. Let me know in the chat. Or did I just totally destroy my audio by switching microphones? Oh, you can hear me. Oh, thank you. There's a delay on the chat as well, so obviously I have to wait and see. All right, you can hear. So basically, when I switched, it didn't work. So I need to work out why that didn't, because I actually streamed using this microphone by doing exactly what I did the other day on a different channel. So it was totally fine. But I like to have alternatives. So if the broadcaster goes down, all I need to do is unplug this microphone and plug it straight into my computer because it's a USB microphone. I also have another microphone, my my little Boya BY M1s, and then it was, and that can just plug into like a, you know, a little 3.5 mil jack. Having options, having alternatives. If something crashes and burns during your stream, so you don't have to kill your stream, is always a smart thing. It's always something to do. Okay, so crisis averted. Thank you. Doug's saying that after a discussion with Dan from StreamYard and Daniel Patel at Vid Summit, there was a 10-minute convo on audio levels. How nice would that be? Just over where it says live and the number, you just see a little green, like boop, 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 just something just to show your audio is working. So I'm a suspenders and belt kind of person. I want to keep the pants up. Do you know what I mean? It is, you want to have options. So while I have this camera and I love this camera and I use this camera all the time, sometimes it fails. Sometimes it has a day where it just goes, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. And it's like green or it's doing something hinky and I just need to turn it off for a little bit. Use my phone. Absolutely. I've got a phone sitting right here that is ready to just jump into Elgato's Epoch Cam. And then my computer can pick it up as a webcam and I don't have to mess around with it. The boom, straight up and going. So admittedly, right now I don't have the computer's Epoch Cam software open, which is probably an oversight. but it's ready. If I need to do that, the phone is charged, everything is ready to go. So I can do that as well. Actually, is that phone charged? Maybe the phone's not charged. I've just looked at it. Its cord is not plugged where it should be. Um, having options. I actually have a webcam right here. Worst case scenario, I could just destroy my Thursday stream, flip it around, and use that webcam as well. There are alternatives that you can do that are not costly, that are already things that you have in your back pocket. Now, maybe a secondary microphone is not something you have in your back pocket, but there's still options. Quite often a camera or a webcam will pick up audio. It is not good audio. Do not have your camera mic as your primary audio source if you can possibly avoid it. But if your only choice is either go live or not go live with the camera audio, and just straight up tell everybody, guys, having some problems with my microphone. We are testing out this one. I'm sorry if it's not the usual standards. There's no reason to not go live unless, of course, it's crackly, it's disruptive. Like, it just may not be as high quality. That's a different story. But if it's actually disruptive, then you actually don't have an alternative. That's not a viable alternative. So testing things out. You know, the advantage with StreamYard is you can just record. So StreamYard, OBS, vMix, and I think all of them, all of the third-party encoders that I use, they all allow a recording function of some description. So being able just to record and test, it doesn't have to be like an hour-long test. It can be like just, hey, just testing this microphone. Does this microphone work? Does this microphone sound terrible? And just whatever cadence and tone you would normally throw into one of your streams. You know, if you're one of those people that scream with excitement during your live streams, you need to test that microphone with some scream. So you might feel a bit weird sitting there squawking into your microphone, testing it. You're the only person who's going to see it. It's a recording. It's not going live. So that you need to have alternatives. You need to look at your systems. You need to look at your processes all the way through your entire business and double check you have a viable alternative if something crashes and burns. We have become so used to our subscriptions. What happens if Calendly stops allowing you access, or it goes down, or something happens? Do you have a backup for your Calendly? You know, are you using like ClickUp or Notion? What happens if their servers drop or something happens? Does that mean you lose access to everything and you can no longer work? Do you have backups? Is there an alternative? You need to be looking and double checking. You don't want to be 100% reliant upon a system that you don't own on your computer. And even if it's on your computer, have a backup somewhere, because your computer could cark it. It happens. I had a computer. I opened it up. I pressed a button. It squawked at me. It literally squealed until I shut it down and closed its lid. I took it to the computer doctors and they were like, "We're sorry, it's dead." Luckily, it was under warranty and I got a new one, but it was 100% dead. Everything on it was gone. There was no way to retrieve it. And I mean, that was a little Surface Pro, so probably a little harder to get the data back. But these things happen. Stuff happens. Things change. Our favorite softwares may all of a sudden cost 10 times the amount. You know, things happen and things change, and you have to make the decision, can I just jump to another software? How hard would it be for me just to jump to another software? Let me know if you're here in the live chat, if you're watching on a replay or listening to the podcast. Put in the comment, have you had something where you relied on it and all of a sudden it was no longer available or no longer viable? I mean, even comes down to food. They change your recipe. Your favorite thing, my favorite breakfast cereal that I loved, it became new and improved, and it was unpalatable for me. So I was just like, oh, yes, so improved. So let me know in the chat, has any of this sort of stuff ever happened for you? So I'm just going to have a little squiz through and see what I've missed here. Jerry says, I think there's a renaissance in live streaming about to break through with YouTube allowing vertical live streaming. I think gear will be less critical. I agree. I think the acceptance that your phone is a viable piece of technology is back. Usually your phone is the piece, has always been that, oh, if you've got no choice or it's a great place to start. No, get a good phone and you're good to go. You've got companies like Rode who are now integrating their softwares, like currently it's iOS only, but you can stick a mobile phone in front of two people sitting across from each other, a couple of wireless goes, and it will do the audio and record the video from both cameras at the same time. So you can have a remote video podcasting setup anywhere, coffee shop, anywhere. I mean, coffee shop might be noisy. You want somewhere a little bit quieter. But the point is they're aiming for the mobile audience. Now, 10 years ago, mobile phones were a bit meh. Their cameras were meh. Now their cameras are full HD, great cameras that are getting, like, I haven't taken a thumbnail photo from any of my channels with one of my DSLRs in at least 2 years. My phone is right there. Click, take a photo of the blanket. Click, take a photo of me, whatever. Click. I'm not a photographer. Just prefacing with that. I'm not a photographer. Absolutely. It's, like if I was a wedding photographer, I would still be using a DSLR. Absolutely. For sure. But for the stuff that I'm doing, I don't need a second camera or constantly pull apart my studio to get at this guy to do it. Now, I also have, can I bring him closer? I'll have to drop his dummy battery. I also have this guy. Sorry, he's attached to a tripod with, like, I have all his cords curled up and his dummy battery wouldn't allow me to pull it over. So I have a dummy battery for my old EOS 70D, right? Canon 70D. It's a perfectly solid camera for taking photos. This was the first camera that I bought for my channel. Now I do have a Canon M6 mirrorless, but this guy here, I can run him through, what do you call it? Brain failure, Ecamm, straight into the computer, acts as a webcam using USB rather than HDMI. Yes, the quality is a little diminished because not HDMI, but doesn't turn off. I streamed for 3 hours with this guy pointing at my spinning wheel. Beautiful shots. Everyone was happy. How old is this 70D? It is not a new camera. I had a lot of people like, you should sell that. You should sell that. Hell no, I'm not going to sell it. It's a backup camera. It's a secondary camera. While I don't use it when I'm using StreamYard, I 100% use it when I'm using Ecamm. It's right there. I have it on a tripod. All its cords are coiled up. I have a long USB cord, so it can sit actually over here, shooting over that way, like, because when I'm, spinning, I face the other way. And it is connected. It's got a dummy battery. I don't run out of power. It doesn't turn itself off. The M6, I've got the Mark 1. It was a mistake. It turns itself up after 30 minutes. So that is frustration stations. So you want to make sure that your backup equipment does what you need it to do as well. And this, I didn't buy it as backup equipment. This used to be the equipment. Now, I never really used it for live streaming. I used it for video recording. I used to record all my tutorials with this, everything. But now I can use it for video recording if I'm using Ecamm, because Ecamm allows Canon straight in as a webcam source. So looking at what the different softwares allow you to do. Now, I don't know if OBS will let me do that. I haven't tried. It's been, this has only come out in the last 18 months or maybe the last year that I've started using it. And I've been on my Mac Mini for at least that long now. So let's have a look in the chat here. Home Rapid Repair says, my Elgato webcams used to get glitchy in StreamYard. I eventually dropped the stream speed down 1 click and no problems. Yeah, so I haven't tested the Elgato at the 1080p streams. It might be a bit funny. I don't know. I'd have to test it and check. My point is, we need to test and check. We need to look at I would say, start with your top 5 things that you have to have for your business. Is it your email, your live streaming gear? Like, think about the broader picture, because while I'm specifically talking about live streaming right now, think about the broader picture of your business. I've got email backups. If something happens to my email, I've got an alternate way that I can get in contact with my people that I need. I can totally do it. And they can get in contact with me as well. GarageBand, my MacBook Air doesn't like the latest version. How old is your MacBook Air? Just out of curiosity. A lot of things that are coming out now are coming out for the silicon. So if you've got an old Mac, like, what is it, 2019? Doesn't sound that old, 2019. That's 5 years old. So a lot of the softwares that are coming out now are coming out with the silicon in mind, but they're also glitching on silicon. So having an alternative, what do you use GarageBand for? Do you use it for recording your podcast? Maybe look at an alternative. Maybe look at Audacity or something else that you can use that records audio. Audacity is free as well. So yeah. Build with Mooney's in the chat. Good to see you. Can you recommend me an upgrade from a pop filter mic? I want to try Rode with the 2 components. So I just want to clarify what you mean by a pop filter mic. So I like the Rode pod mic for myself. You can put a pop filter in front of it if you want. I probably should, honestly. I was listening back to last week's stream and realized that I was a little breathy across the microphone. Also, I'm like, back in the day, like, singing, you want to sing across the microphone, not into the microphone. So, options for that is definitely an option. Oh, okay. So you're looking at the lapel mics from Rode. So you want to go with a wireless system. So one of the wireless goes. They have little pop filter, like they have little. Does it come standard with a little dead cat on the square? The other alternative is you can just buy, excuse me, a standard lav mic. It'll plug into it, which means that your little square piece you can stick on your belt buckle. You're still wireless, technically. You're not wired to a device. You can move around, but the lav mic has got a wire. So you've got your standard little, standard little lav. She says, pulling a lav mic out. So you'll still have your standard little clip, and that's wired on. And then you can actually attach that to the wireless go, boom. And if you buy a quality lav, like Rode make a quality lav as well. This one's my Boya, but I do have a little Rode one. The Rode one is really nice. So that's an alternative. It also reduces the visibility. I've been seeing a lot of streamers wearing their mics clipped to their hats, and I don't like the square mics in shot. For me, if your lav failed, that's an alternative option. For some people, that's their primary option. I don't like the squares in shot. It's a personal preference. If I go for one of those Rode wireless, which I've not gone that path yet, I'm a little bit funny about non-removable batteries. So when the battery dies, the whole thing goes in the bin. So that's a personal thing, which is why I still haven't pulled the trigger on those guys yet. But I would attach a lav mic. Now, this is the $15 Boya BYM1. The cord on this would probably do my head in. If I was like, but you could coil up and pop it in your pocket. You're a dude. All your pants have pockets. I'm a girl. Only 20% of my pants have pockets. It's very frustrating being a girl with pockets, honestly. I want pockets. I just need you all to understand. I want pockets in everything. Dresses, skirts, pants, all have pockets. If it doesn't have pockets, I don't want to buy it. All right. So yeah, you have the Boya BYM one. All you need to do is just coil it up neatly, not like this. Coil it up neatly. Pop some, a cable tie of some description around it, whether it's some Velcro tie or whatever. Throw that in your pocket with just the end coming out to clip onto the wireless go, and clip that to your belt buckle. or clip that to the outside or inside of your pocket, because you still want to be able to see the meters on it. So being able to just see it right there. But I would totally be looking at any of the Rode Wireless. They're very good. Even their base model Mi's are very good. Double check it can take that the transmitter can take a 3.5 mil jack. So whichever option has that. I'm not sure if they all do. And I would go that way. Then you get the wireless, like you get the lav mic look, you get the lav mic sound with its little pop filter on it, but you get the ability to be mobile. And then if something happens to your lav, your backup is just clipping the square on. Then if you want to have an alternative for if you're, if the alternative for you, depending on how mobile you want to be, is connecting this straight to your phone. Making sure it's got a battery in it and connecting it straight to your phone. So having those two things together makes it a good option. But I really love the look of the new Rode software that's allowing you to have the Rode Wireless Me with the Rode Wireless. I'm not sure if it's the Mi's, but it's some sort of Go. Doug might know if the Mi's are included. And being able to record the two cameras at once. I think that's fantastic. I want it for Android. I just want to say I'm an Android phone girl. I'm like just looking in my drawer at all my audio backups. I have a few. I even have a backup to my Rodecaster. If my Rodecaster plays up, I still have the AI one that I upgraded from. I upgraded because I wanted more inputs. I didn't upgrade because it was dead. So it's still here. I could possibly share it with another creator. I've got a friend who's like, you could be passing some of these things on. And some of them I will. But some of them are my backups. And because I'm a backups person, I need the backups. I'm not comfortable if I don't have them, in all honesty. I'm really just not comfortable. So that means that backup, I've still got my use of my pod mic. So if I'm doing a podcast or something where I want the audio to be fantastic, I've still got this guy, So it's a personal preference. If you're okay with like fly by the seat of your pants, it doesn't matter if it crashes, I just won't run. If you're okay with that being that person, then that is 100% cool. That's you. You've got to do yourself, right? Nobody else can do you like you. So, but I'm not that person. I need the backups. I have backup internet. So if my home internet fails, I have enough data on my phone and a way to get good quality speeds through my computer from my phone so that I can still stream. I always have a laptop that's 100%. Well, I actually keep them at 90% charge. I have laptops that are kept at 90% charge so that if we have power out, I can still stream. I always keep my battery packs charged up as well. I've got one that can charge the laptop, so I can plug it into the laptop. If I want to do an hour-long live stream from my laptop, I can. I've actually remotely produced someone else's live stream while I had a total power outage. So it means when I have a power outage, I have no internet and no power because of how our internet's run. If there's, I can't even just plug it straight into the wall. We have NBN, which has its own box. You have to plug into the box, and that box is powered. So I've got all these backups so that I can still function even with no power. Now, I can't function long term with no power. These are all battery, right? I don't have a UPS, which I highly recommend. If you can get a little uninterrupted power supply, if you can do that, do it. I can't do that right now. But have alternatives. Have some viable alternatives that can keep you going. Let me know in the chat. Do you have an alternative something? What is your backup plan? Doug's suggesting here I would use one of the Rode Wireless with the available lav. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. Florida Manufactured has 5 UPS in his house. That is crazy, but that is also awesome. You are never running out of power. That is great. That's so good. Why do you have 5? Just out of curiosity. Like, I'm not dissing 5. I think if that's what you need to make it even funny, not funny, if that's what you need to make it even comfortable for you to know you're covered, then do it. But why 5? Like, do you have lots of different things plugged in, or are there some spares so that when one goes flat, you can power? I know you're in Florida, so you get some serious weather there. But First Copy says, I do and I don't even live stream. That's the thing. It doesn't even matter if you live stream or not. Are you an online creator of any content, of any shape, fashion, form? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you in a situation where your income is reliant on a tool? I know of lawn mowmen, like lawn, what do you call those guys? Mower dudes, like the mower dudes who come in. They have spare mowers on their truck. They're only using one at a time, eh? But if something happens, if a blade breaks, they can replace a blade right then and there. But if something else happens, something worse happens, rather than standing there taking the time doing a repair, they can just throw that one back on the truck, grab another one out, and do the repair at a different stage. The same with their whippersnippers. They have more than one whippersnipper. Or line trimmer, or I don't know what you guys call them. We've had this discussion before. You guys in the US call them something different. They've got spares. They don't just have spare line or extra fuel or extra battery. They've got an entire spare piece of equipment so that they can continue on with their jobs. This is what we need to be doing. We don't want to be stuck in a situation where, okay, computer's dead. No work for me. What is your backup? Do you have an alternative to your computer? Do you just have the one computer? Again, I need to preface this with, I am the person who doesn't like when I don't have options, okay? So I tend to upgrade my gear before it's cactus, before it's totally dead. So I still get some use out of it. So when I upgraded to the Mac Mini, I still have a viable laptop that can run a high quality stream. It's battery heavy. It uses up its battery really fast. It cannot take a USB charger for its battery. So as long as I've got power, that's my first alternative. If I don't have that, then I've got my old laptop, which is tiny and only good for emails usually. It can run a StreamYard stream at a pinch. So I've traveled. I went away and needed to do a stream and realized I brought the wrong laptop. I brought the little laptop that can fit in my handbag. I didn't bring the big boy, and or Big Bertha. It's actually called Big Bertha, and the other one's called Runabout. They have names, okay? And so Big Bertha wasn't with me, and I was like kicking myself. And then I was like, well, I'm using StreamYard. StreamYard takes the load, right? Let's see if it works. And it worked. I had 2 cameras set up. I had microphone inputs. It was all good. It was all good. So having alternatives to even the equipment that you don't think you need. I'm all about making sure you've got backups. Backups to your software, backups to your hardware, obviously within reason. I know not everybody can afford a second camera or a second whatever, but do you have an old phone in a drawer? Could that do it a pinch? You know, have you got Wi-Fi still? Can you connect it to the Wi-Fi? Will it do it a pinch? Have a look at what you've got lying around. Most creators have been creating for a little while, probably got something lying around. Most people who are upgrading phones before their phone bricks have probably got a phone laying around. It's a viable alternative. Let's have a look here. Oh, Russell's come in with why he's got it. So he's got one for his main computer, one for his displays and USBs, one for the networking and network backup drives, and one for his computer systems, and one for his TV's video audio systems. That's awesome. I love how you've thought about this and how you've made it so you've got backups to your backups as well. So if you need your main computer and you don't need your TV, you can steal the one from that. Like, I love that you've thought about this and you've planned it out and you've got it and you know exactly what they're for and what they're connected to. I think that is awesome. I really do. A weed whacker from Michael Sahovsky. Okay. Even USA can't agree on what we call weed whackers. I think I've heard like 8 different names. Okay, so that's why I'm confused. Probably why I'm confused. We mostly call them whippersnippers here. Or at least I've only ever heard of them called whippersnippers. It took me a little bit to realize that other people call them different things. I like 15 to 30 minutes before I have to shut down versus just enough to close out and shut down. Yeah, so like absolutely, you've got plans in place if stuff happens, and I love that. Um, the average person who doesn't think about this is the average person, Chantelle, who doesn't think about all of this, sadly enough. Oh, here we go. I meant to say, sadly enough, doesn't think about this. Okay, that makes more sense. You're right. Most people don't think about it. And this is why I wanted to have this discussion, is because I know most people don't think about it. I'm like a doom and gloom person. I've got a will. I've had a will since I had a daughter. It's like, okay. And I had to like talk my husband into it. He's like, I've just turned 30. I don't need a will. And I'm like, dude, we have a child now. We've got to think about this stuff. Like, sure, I don't want to die, but why not put something in place? And that's the kind of person that I am. Just because I don't want it to happen doesn't mean I don't want to be prepared just in case it does happen. So there's lots of things I don't want to happen, but I'm prepared for it. Like if this light dies, I got a replacement. I've actually got one right here that I can actually just, if its little bulb just gave up the ghost right now, I have an alternative. It's not as good, but I have a handy alternative, but I also have a full replacement. I've got to dig to get that. So if it died before a stream, I could go and get it. But if it died during a stream, I've got an alternative. So having the alternatives, having the options, for me, I get comfort from that. Like knowing that if something crashes and burns, it's like, whatever, I'll just plug in this other thing. It's got 100% charge, that's got a charge. This can plug into power. You know what I mean? Like having the comfort of knowing that this isn't it. Like when this dies, we're toast. So even like right now, I'm streaming with StreamYard. If my internet died, sure, I would instantly drop out for a second while I switched over to my phone. Now, admittedly, a smart person would probably have the phone running right now so that the computer could switch it. I'm prepared, but not hooked up. Oh, hello, Louis. He's just come in to dob on the cat. That's kind of funny. So, yeah. Let's have a look here. So Russell's got some backups. He's got 3 cameras, 3 mics, 3 displays, and 2 keyboards, 2 backup laptops, 2 iPads, and 2 iPhones ready to go. So for me, I'm not quite there, but I do have this computer. So I've got the Mac Mini. The backups for it are 2 different laptops. I have an iPad that's fully charged, and I have my current mobile phone, which has its own data, but I also have older phones as extra backups. I have a drawer full of microphones. I've got choices when it comes to lighting and microphones. Now, if my colored lighting dies, it dies, right? I don't have spares. I have them all on, right? They're all on. Because I like them. So if they die, they die. But they don't take away from my message. So I've got spares to this. I've got spares to the streaming software. I've got spares for the audio. Spares for the lighting. Spares for the internet. I've got spares for my email, my calendar planning, my organizational, spares for everything. Yeah, Russell's right. I do only have the one coffee maker though. Yeah. Do you only have one coffee maker? I only have one coffee maker. If it dies, well, if my coffee maker dies, right, and it has, I've got a way to grind my beans to put them into alternatives. So, because my coffee maker is one where you pour the bean, like the beans have got a little hopper, and it grinds the beans and makes the coffee, and it's all delicious. Speaking of which, I'm going to have a sip. Hang on. And I know it's a bit fancy, but I'm a coffee tragic, okay? So, if my coffee maker dies, I've got a bean grinder. So I can grind my beans, and I can either French press it, or I've got an AeroPress, or I've got this travel thing, like it's a cup, like for drip coffee basically, and you put it in with, it's got its own little gold filter already in there. You just pour it in. I have alternatives. And then there's also instant, like if the power goes out, I've actually got a hand grinder. I have to be really desperate for coffee. I'd probably just boil the kettle, which I have a stovetop gas. I've got a gas cooker and a stovetop kettle if the power goes out, so I can still make it. So I'm all good. Plan ahead. Absolutely. What bothers me, this is from But First Coffee. What bothers me, I also want to say, I absolutely love your logo here, But First Coffee. I think it's fantastic. Um, what bothers me, and I'm not talking tech now, is when people have tech equipment and don't bother to learn how it works. The most simple concepts. That makes me crazy. They don't want to be bothered. Part of it is people feel the need to buy this equipment. And I don't always agree with this. In saying that, I don't know how my Rodecaster works very well. Um, I'm still learning. It's new and I got sick, so I'm behind the eight ball. But in saying that, um, people do, it happens all the time. People upgrade their camera gear. They have no idea how to utilize a DSLR versus a phone. They upgrade and they upgrade and they change and they buy what they think they need to buy, and they haven't learnt it. That is awkward. It is awkward. It does make you crazy. I can see that. But also learning, and this is the thing, learning how your backups work, learning how to switch over to your backups. Now, I'm not sure why that microphone didn't work, and I am perplexed as to why it didn't work, because I was getting meters here, and I don't know why it didn't work for you. Let me just check my settings here for my audio. Yeah, no, it should have worked. I'm going through main stereo. I don't understand. But yes, I can see why it drives you nuts. They don't know how their equipment works. It's important to understand the tools of your trade. Whether you're an electrician, a gardener, a pool cleaner, or an online entrepreneur, a live streamer, or a video creator, you need to understand how your equipment works. Like, I'm not talking about you need to be able to get in there and resolder some, connections if they come apart. But I'm talking about the basic knowledge of how to make it do what you need it to do, and sometimes the whys. So I'm a naturally curious person, and I know not everybody is. Whereas I want to learn how to do things. I want to learn. I want to understand. And that's one of the reasons why I run this channel, is because I want to learn how StreamYard works. I want to learn how vMix works. I want to learn how Ecamm works. I want to learn how all of them work. And this was like the natural progression for me, was to be able to show you guys how to do this as well. Oh, here we go. Yeah, but they must have the latest and greatest, whether it be a cell phone or a computer or whatever. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Oh, you have a spare coffee maker in a storeroom. Not real handy. Yeah. Sometimes they're just not handy, are they? It's like my spare one of these lights. There's only so much space we have in our house, right? Oh, here we go. Now you're talking my language. I just came home from the Coffee Expo in Chicago. So I love good coffee, right? I don't like bitter coffee. I don't have sugar in my coffee. So if the coffee's bitter, it's just bad, right? I like strong, not bitter coffee. There you go. Judging from the coffee maker photo you shared on Twitter, you may be a coffee snob. Yeah. And do you know what I really hate? Just to sidetrack it just a little bit yet again, because welcome to my stream. I hate it when I go to a coffee shop and buy a coffee and take a sip and go, yeah, my automatic machine at home could have done better than that barista just did. Like, how sad is that? That's sad, right? Russell's off. Bye, Russell. Have fun. I would love all your coffee equipment. That's a good possibility. That's a good possibility. I don't understand coffee enough. I make cold brew. I've got like a cold brew thing, not the big, whirly one. I've got like the jug with the basket that I poke in the fridge, because I like cold brew and I was spending way too much money on cold brew. So I learned how to make it. I'm a sweat equity kind of person. It's just like, is it cheaper to make it yourself? Then make it yourself. Let's have a look here. Oh, look, I don't get driven I don't get driven nuts when people come to me for help. That's what I'm here for. That's my job. My job is to help people, and it's to help them understand what they're doing and to help them create workflows that work for them, because not everybody is technical. And some people have bought equipment that's beyond what they need or beyond their expertise. But it's my job to help them learn it. Unless you need Vocaster help, then I'm not your person. I ring Doug. Doug, what have I done? Doug, why does my second microphone not come through when I asked it to? I didn't do anything different. Anyway, I'm the person who perpetually asks why, and I will do my due diligence. Yeah, absolutely. Not everybody who gets a job as a barista, like at Tim Hortons or Starbucks or wherever, is a barista. I mean, that's true, right? That's true. That's totally true. Not everybody who pulls a coffee is a barista. I agree with that. Oh, Russell, I need to go and check that out. Russell has published his first podcast episode on YouTube. That is awesome. I'm going to go and check that out today. I want. I'm not interested in moving to Florida. You definitely understand that, but I will definitely go and check out your first podcast for sure. I don't mind helping and showing someone how, but then there's some expectation they'll try on their own. Oh, absolutely. I am totally in camp. Teach a person to fish and they'll eat every day, but give them the fish and they'll come back for more. Absolutely. So, I mean, and this is the thing. I do have services that are where I teach you how to do it, but I also have services where I do it for you because some people just either don't have the time or they're not that person. Like there are some people who truly are not technical. They are amazing painters or sculptors or chiropractors or whatever. They all their energy is and verve is poured into that, but they know they need this for something, but it's not their skill set. But they're really upfront about it as well. So that's a different opinion. That's a different kind of person there as well. Oh, look at that. My brother and his wife are selling their home here in New York City and are moving to Florida. There you go. They should hook him up with Russell's channel. Oh, they live there now 6 months a year already. I love a good coffee, but K-cups are hard to be. I don't know what a K-cup is. I don't know what a K-cup is. Anyway, more liquid for me. My cup just brought its coaster with it. So, I'm very passionate about live streaming. You guys know that. And community and education. That's what I'm here. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm doing this whole channel for. That's why I create these videos and podcasts. It is to help you learn. But I think you also need to learn how to help yourself and you need to learn how to use your equipment. Even if it's just base level knowledge. Like, there's lots of different little things that can just make life a little bit easier. But if you're a person who technology is not really your thing, you can 100% do a lot of stuff with your phone now. And like creators are not looking down on people using their phones. Like even a couple of years ago, people were like, oh, you're still on your phone. Well, you'll be able to upgrade one day. Now it's like, oh, cool. What phone have you got? You know, the attitudes are shifting and changing. So, you know, you need to understand what you've got and get really good at. When I'm upgrading equipment, and I think I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. When I'm deciding, I take a really long time, right? Like Doug and I have had a lot of conversations about me upgrading to a MacBook Pro. I still don't have a MacBook Pro. I don't plan on buying a MacBook Pro at least in the next 6 months. You know, so it is a discussion. I'm learning about it. I've been using a Mac Mini now for a little while, but I am a Windows girl. I am used to having a Windows machine. I'm definitely used to having Windows laptops. You know, so it's a big jump for me. Like the jump to get the Mac Mini was enormous, right? So I think that the step to the MacBook Pro would be less stressful rather than a giant leap that it was to get the Mac Mini. But when I'm looking at upgrading camera gear or audio gear, or have I reached the limit of the gear I have, or have I reached my personal limit? Could I learn something more to make my gear that I already have useful? I've got a lot to learn about the Rodecaster. I'm currently doing its most basest function. One mic in, one headphone out. Most base function. I do have it set up for audio stingers. I do have an audio stinger set up. I'm just checking. Oh, wow. My mum just sent me a message. Cool. I'll have to check that. That's cool. All right. But yeah, I do have, I was actually just double checking to see if I could use my audio stinger, but I can't. not yet. But I do have it set up for an audio stinger. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted it. I wanted to be able to set it up to be able to bring in extra audio. The big thing I wanted to set it up for, and I'm not using it for that today at all, because I forgot to set it up and then realized I was running late, right? Is to bring music in. I like a little bit of background music. I know not everybody likes background music. I do know of some of my audience that feels that the background music is too loud and distracting. I like the background music. And sometimes you have to make the decision. Is it actually too loud and distracting for the majority of your audience or for a very tiny part of your audience? And are you willing to have that? Now, over on my Fiberific channel, it was distracting for a large part of my audience. I have a much older audience over there. And so it was distracting for most of them. So I only have music on my Saturday streams, which is once a month, which I think might be this Saturday. I need to check. And so you make these decisions and you make these choices. So I upgraded because I wanted to bring in external audio easily. So that was a big, big decision for me. That was a big part of my decision. I don't share my studio. I don't need 4 audio inputs. I could have gone the Rodecaster Duo, but at the time I was buying, this was only $120 dearer than the Duo. So I future-proofed it. So in case down the track I wanted to sell it, or I ended up doing a big podcast where I had, I've got options now. I made that decision when I purchased it. Now, when I purchased my pod mic, sure, I've got my Rode NTG here. I've got other mics in a drawer, but I wanted a microphone that diminished more of the noise of my family. I wanted a microphone that suited my personal voice and my budget. I was not in the Shure SM7B budget camp because at the time I purchased this, I was using the Rode AI1, which meant I would have needed the Shure SM7B and a cloud lifter, which would have been about 800 Australian dollars just for that section. This was 150. The audio is fine, she tells herself, hopefully. The audio is fine. So, I speak in Australian dollars because that's how I spend my money every day. So you need to check these prices on your end. Now, now that I have the Rodecaster 2, I don't need a cloud lifter for a Shure SM7B. So, the Rodecaster 2 does some extra stuff. Let's have a look here. Lots of people like agreeing with me. That's cool. I like it when people agree with me. Oh my God, no K-cups in Australia. I don't know if there are. I just don't know what they are. I don't know what a K-cup is. So they could be here and I just didn't know what they were. So, but First Coffee says I have a Mac Mini, an old one, but I have a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro and 2 iMacs. Yeah, okay. You're definitely Team Mac, aren't you? And an iPad. My daughter was actually commented the other day. She's like, Mum, like for somebody who doesn't like Apple, you certainly have a lot of Apple products now. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, okay, let's list them off. I'm like, righto. And yeah, that turned out I had a couple more than I really thought about. So yeah. Still not as many as her. I just want to say that she still has more, but she is definitely team Apple. So our house is divided. Our house is divided. And I have to say, I am so happy now that I have what's it called? Snap. My brain just won't give it to me now. It is basically a way that I can airdrop between any of my devices on my Wi-Fi. And I love it. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, that is very curious news. But yeah, let's have a look here. Any more questions? Do you guys have any questions? Have you got something that you're thinking about and that you want to get a backup for and you want some alternatives? Either myself or anybody in the chat here could jump in and help with that. But yeah, so we definitely wanted to talk about planning for failures. And I'm not talking about the broader business failures. I'm talking technical and software failures. So, and not even that, but sometimes things change, right? Like sometimes you're really happy on something and whatever it is, and it changes. Like I was saying, it becomes new and improved and it's not your taste anymore. So you've got to be prepared that, You're not so embedded in something that you just put up with all the things that you don't like about it now just to use it. Be willing and open to slide over to a different microphone brand, to slide over to a different camera company. I went from Canon to Sony because at the time of my decisions, Sony was really working hard to have some really good options for live streaming. Okay. I want to ask a question, nothing to do with failures, but StreamYard versus Prism Studio. Okay, so the pros of StreamYard is it's a browser version. So it means that if the internet drops out or something happens on your end and you lose your power, your stream's kept open so that you can jump in with another device or you can reboot and jump back in. I think you've got about 10 minutes to get back in before it closes it. So you've got time to remedy. Prism Studio, I don't believe allows that. So that's the big difference for me. And that's one of the big reasons why I use StreamYard and StreamYard guesting. So Prism and Prism, like Prism Live, OBS, they're very similar. They're both great, but they do have some different features. So I would have a go, work out what is important to you. They're both solid. Work out what's important to you. Are you regularly bringing on guests? I'd probably stick with StreamYard. Are you in an area where it's prone to power failures or internet shaky or you know, stuff like that? I'd probably stick with StreamYard for now. But if those things are not what you're doing and you're just recording videos or you are just going live regularly, Prism is free as well. I don't use the free version of StreamYard. I like to stream at 1080p. So Prism Studio is free, or at least Prism Live's free, right? I think, or at least it has a really good free version. You've got options that way as well. So you definitely, it's going to come down to what it is that you personally want out of your streaming software. And I would say when you are getting ready to stream or when you are thinking about switching softwares or switching hardwares, write yourself a pros and cons list. Write down what you want. Write like the wish list that I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Can either of these options do that? Is it ticking anything off the list? And if they're both ticking everything off the list, think, okay, well, down the track, I want to be able to do K. And, you know, does it tick K off the list? And go that way. Sometimes it purely comes down to money. What do I get in the free version? You know, what do I get in the bottom tier version, the second tier? How much do I have to spend to get access to all of these? Sometimes it comes down to that. And keeping that in mind, you don't have to spend money on streaming software. OBS and I believe Prism, I could be wrong, but are totally free. You don't have to spend money on good quality streaming software. If you want your quality streaming software with a nice, easy, simple way to do things, that's when you start spending a bit of money. Lachia and Glenn are here. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. OBS and Prism Live, yeah, free. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm actually I'm just about to start doing a big walkthrough on Prism Live. So I haven't done a really big deep dive on it yet. I know some cursory information. I personally have never used it. I used OBS exclusively for years. So I think I'll be able to switch over pretty easily. But just understanding what the different things can do. Like I can go, oh yeah, go OBS. I can say StreamYard, go StreamYard, use my link in the description. I can totally do that. But is it going to do what you want it to do? I don't know. I can't answer these questions without just a little bit more information. You'll definitely tune in for the deep dive. It'll be a video. It's not going to be a live stream. It's going to be a video. But we'll probably do some live streaming with it while I practice with it, because I do that. I practice. Sometimes I'll practice things live. Like as in, oh, will it do this thing? Click. Oh, you know, don't do that. Whatever we do, don't do that. Write that down. Do not recommend using that. So yeah, some of that will come in as well. But yeah, so you don't have to spend crazy amounts of money on streaming software if you don't want to. I streamed for, I'm thinking 6 years. It'll be 6 or 7 years, probably 6 years without paying for streaming software. And my streams were fine. My audience were happy. When I wanted to start bringing in guests is when I started paying for StreamYard. So I was actually running an event for another company, and we had 4 days of live streaming where I interviewed people. I think for that first weekend, it was every 20 minutes I had a new person to interview, and I was streaming for 8 hours a day. And then the next year we dropped it down to 2 days because the 4 days nearly killed me for 3 weeks. It was too much. But then we dropped it down to 2 days. And the 2 days of, I think we went 2 days of 9 hours and guests every 15 minutes. So it was like 26 or 27 guests a day. And the StreamYard made that so simple. Just being able to have a couple of guests lined up, ready to go, or even just one, and then the next one coming in 5 minutes before the other one finished, so I could see that they were ready. And then just going. So you've got to think about what it is that you want out of it. Do you need to pay for a service? Maybe not. Do you have, but my issue is I love that suspenders and belt. If my stream drops out, I can still jump back in. In OBS, I had to create a second stream and like get into the old chat somehow and go, hey, I'm over in this other place, and drop links. And, it was cumbersome. It was cumbersome when something failed. So that's part of it. OBS and Prism Live both have a little higher learning curve versus StreamYard, but StreamYard is simple on purpose for those that do not want to get into the weeds of learning. Exactly, live streaming consultants. There is most definitely a learning curve on both of those softwares and other softwares as well. Ecamm had a learning curve for me as well. So the different things had there's different advantages and disadvantages to everything. And StreamYard has been made to keep it as simple as possible. It is part of their ethos. It's got to be simple. The ease of use is a huge, huge important factor for them. And sometimes that means they don't have these additional features because they haven't been able to work out a way to make it easy to do it. So different softwares have got different, skill levels required. Live Stream Consultant says, when I'm on mobile, I use StreamYard only. When I'm at home, I use OBS as it gives me all the bells and whistles. There you go. There you go. When I'm on mobile, if I'm live streaming, I will actually usually go directly through the service. So if I'm live streaming on mobile and onto YouTube, I will usually just use the YouTube app and go live that way. I get no bells and whistles, but I'm live and it's lighter on my phone and uses, it's easier. So we have options when it comes to our streaming softwares. Do we even need the third-party encoder? I actually haven't gone live from my computer using YouTube software for a while because one of the things I love about StreamYard, even over Ecamm, is that right now I'm streaming, unless something's happened, to Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube all at the same time using the same internet upload. So I can stream to all of those things on using Ecamm, but every time I add a destination, it adds, so if I wanted to stream to Ecamm and to YouTube and to LinkedIn, I would have double the upload. Add Twitter, it's triple the upload. So you have to really understand what your software is doing, what your limitations are. I'm in Australia. Our internet is a total dog's breakfast. I know that like Russell, who was in here before, he could stream to everything, every service out there, no problems. His upload speeds are crazy fast. In Australia, for some reason, they keep bottlenecking our upload speeds. Drives me insane. I'm just going to drag in my soapbox to stand on. Please, please, please give some of us the option to have more upload. I'd happily have 100 meg download and 100 meg upload. That'd be great. I've got 100 down. I got 40 up, and there's no option for me to increase that. And so depending on where you are in the world also changes your options and your alternatives and what is viable for you. So you have to look at it from a personal use perspective. What I tell you works fantastic may not work for you at all. So, you've got to understand a little bit how these things work. Us plus Dad, great to see you. Thanks for jumping in. I'm going to have another drink. So do you guys have any questions for me in the chat? Ecamm's been around forever. It's been around a long time. It didn't really hit my radar till about a year before I bought my Mac Mini, because I was researching the Mac Mini about a year before I bought it. Because I research big changes like that a long time before I actually do it. Let me have a look here. Yeah, Luria Petrucci has been Ecamm girl all the way. Even when it was live streaming pros with her and Foster, what's his name? I can't think of his first name. He would always be PC, she would always be Mac. She would be Ecamm, he would be other alternatives. Usually vMix or OBS were his usual options. And I still watch, because I would watch for the non-Mac versions of things. And I loved that it was both. I thought it was pretty cool. But things happen, things change, and we roll with it. Oh, wow. We just got our 4,000 hours. Does it take YouTube a couple of days to show accurate numbers? Yeah, give it like 3 days. 3 days is usually a good thing. I was on this other channel where I run all those interviews. We hit our 4,000 hours, and that happened on the Sunday, and it didn't accurately show it in the Earn tab where we could apply for monetization until the following Wednesday. So yeah, it was definitely, it takes a few days. So Luria is great. Luria is great. Luria is amazing. Right now it shows 0.5 RPM. I'm not sure what that means. That's why I use OBS at home. I can control the bit rate, which is exactly why I started with OBS in the first place. I only have 15 megabits up, so I run a 720p stream at a low bit rate as I need for a clean video. And that is precisely why I went with OBS. When I very first started live streaming, my upload speed was between 2 to 3 megabits per second. My download was 4 or 5 if I was really lucky. And I was constantly being told by every streamer out there, I was having to learn from gaming streamers, because there was no alternatives back in the day. If you wanted to learn how to YouTube stream, you went and followed gaming streamers like Vox, the gaming careers, and like all those guys, and they're fantastic. And if you want to learn more about OBS, you go and check out Vox. He has an entire course on OBS, and I think it would be phenomenal. So I haven't done it, but he runs amazing stuff. So absolutely go and check out Vox. Vox, EPOSVOX. Addy is amazing, and he is just generous with his information. And Gaming Careers was another one that really helped me set up OBS for my streaming. But yeah, I had to plan my streams to upload at no more than 2,500 bits per second, or kp per second. So kilobits per second, kbps. Because even though my computer was good, I built it for video editing on DaVinci Resolve, because DaVinci has been free for a long time. I originally built it. So back 10 years ago, getting a computer with enough graphics card was custom built. So custom built my computer for that. It could do it. It couldn't upload what it could do. So I had to learn these things. I had to dig in and work out how to drop it out and drop down the stream so you don't lose frame rate, so you don't have glitchy, stuff happening. I was knitting. I had second camera with knitting and crocheting. Your hands are moving quick. It needs to keep up. So you've got to work out what your use case is. You've got to work out where you are physically as well as mentally. What can you cope with? What things could drop out of your stream that you'd be okay with? For me, it's the colored lights. They can all drop out and die. I would be disappointed, but I wouldn't cry much. I really love my colored lights. But if I lost camera, if I lost audio, if I lost straight out power, what are your backups? What's your plan? Because for me, as far as I'm concerned, unless a lot of things happen at once, which has happened, not streaming just because one thing dies is not really good enough if it's your whole business. So that means you haven't planned and you have no backups. Now, if the one thing that died is power and you normally run a 5-hour stream, yeah, cool. I get that. That's cool. There's no backup powers in the world that are going to let you stream for 5 hours unless you have a generator. And I would not run a computer over a generator. The power fluctuations are insane. But so power is a big one, right? But anything else, I would be definitely, is that even properly English? Probably not. And properly English is also not properly English. I would definitely be looking at what are my backups? What can I switch and change within a minute or two without having to totally rerun cabling that could make it? So like I do have a microphone sitting right here ready for me just to plug straight in. The plug is handy. Where I need to plug it into is handy. It's all right there. So all these alternatives are ready to go with a few seconds of work. I don't have to rerun cables. So that's YouTube, and especially live streaming, stuff happens. Be prepared for it to happen. Don't let it shake you. Let's have a look here. There's a convo happening between these guys. Yeah. So yeah, live stream consultants runs other people's streams and does it that way. Rather than having, I don't think, because you don't have your own channel, do you? Yeah. So different skill sets required. Different skill sets required. Yeah. And he regularly carries enough equipment with him to set up full podcasts, because you actually travel out to people's locations to help them as well. It's not just all remote either. So lots of different options. Lots of different options. Look, I'm pretty set up here. This is my nest. I spend a lot of time in this chair. This is also the desk that I work at all the time. So I've got it set up so that my monitor can switch and pull in front of my camera so that I can just work. So emails, correspondence, moderating for other people. I do a lot of that. And just, having the ability to switch tasks easily for me was important, which is why I've set my desk up how I have. And that's a personal preference. For somebody else, they might have a separate setup for their video creation and their podcasting. I've got this space. This is the only space in my entire house that I have for this work. I have what you can see is cut off. This is my space and this desk. This is where I work. So I make the most of it. Are you coming to Vid Summit this year? Not at this stage. Not at this stage. A Vid Summit trip is huge for me. I'm not in the US. I have international airfares to add to it. I have the Aussie dollar is just terrible. And I would love to come. And it makes me sad every time someone asks, well, I don't want you to feel bad, but every time someone asks me if I'm going, I get sad because I really want to go and I don't think I can. So I just have to cheer for my friends that get to go. Shelley Nathan has just been announced as one of the MCs, so I'm super chuffed for her. Viper has been announced as an MC. Owen Hemsath or Owen Video, he's the head of the MCs. And also, oh my gosh, what's her name? Stephanie, is it Lou? Stephanie Lou? I always forget Stephanie's last name because I follow her on two different things and they've got different surnames. She is also an MC, and I am so chuffed for my friends that are getting involved. Doug scored an amazing opportunity from Daryl, who he totally deserves. And so I'm just excited for my friends that get to go. So if you are in the US, as far as I'm concerned, you have no excuse not to go, because I would be there in a heartbeat if I didn't have to pay a ridiculous amount of money for airfares and deal with the fact that my dollar is worth about half of one of yours. So I'm like, people are like, oh, it's not in my state. Oh, okay, cool. Like, do you have a car? Like, can you just drive? Like, Australia's a really big country as well. When VidCon was running in Melbourne, that's 2,000 kilometers away. I still went. We had VidCon in Australia for 3 times. I went all 3 times because, and not once was it anywhere near me. Like, I was like, I flew. I didn't drive, admittedly. I flew down to Melbourne. I spent a few days there. I think I would get in on the morning of the first day and leave the day after it finished. And just immerse myself in what I could. And it was phenomenal and fantastic. And if you can, you absolutely should. If you're running a business, it is a tax write-off. I know it's big money. I know the tickets are like $1,000 US. What are they? They're currently at $895. They will go up. This is still early bird pricing. As we get closer, historically, it's gone up to $995. So whether they're keeping it at the $895, I don't know. I wouldn't expect it to. So if you are thinking about going, like, I know it's $1,000. I really do. But if you need to go, you should go. Like if you are a YouTube creator and you are serious about YouTube and you are making any income at all, like that's the other thing. If you're not making income from YouTube and you don't have good income coming from somewhere else, I get it. I really do. I really get it. But if you're making income from YouTube and you can afford to go, you go. The location is not your excuse. Funds can be an excuse. Location is not a good enough excuse. There you go. Was cool seeing Nick there last year. Yeah, I heard that his talk was really good. I can't wait to get my nest all set up for myself. I'll have 14-foot by 16-foot dedicated room just for video content and streaming. This room is quite small, and the other half of it is dedicated to my yarn craft storage. It's full. It's a 15-hour drive for me to get to Vid Summit. I still think I'm going in September. Melbourne was, because there was a show down in Bendigo, which is in the same state as Melbourne. That was a 23-hour drive. I split it up over 2 days and I went every year. I could drive to Melbourne in similar amount of time, 22 to 25 hours. If I couldn't fly, I would still drive. Although I think honestly right now, I would need to check, but I think airfares are cheaper than fuel and a night's accommodation. So I'd probably still fly, but I would look at that. I would balance it up. I know how much fuel it takes for me to get that far. So yeah. Doug, we're talking about Vid Summit now, just so that you know. Game Widow says, I fly to a retreat in another state every year. Going overseas is out of my scope at the moment. Yep, I get that. Absolutely. And I appreciate you flying to that retreat every year. It's my retreat. I would agree if you're making income via YouTube and other sources, go. Absolutely. And I get it. If you're not, finances is an excuse, is an acceptable excuse. Location, not an acceptable excuse if you are within the US. Would you go if someone sponsored your trip? If somebody covered the entire trip, I could go. But unfortunately, I cannot chip in probably other than, my food, really. It is a discussion that has been had in my household, and I am not to use family money for a Vid Summit trip. So it would have to be sponsored. Yeah. Doug is back from his commute. Vid what? Did I say VidCon? I meant Vid Summit. If I said VidCon, I meant Vid Summit. Did I screw that up? I mean, it happens. I am not perfect. Yeah, airfares are cheaper than fuel. I looked into driving up. Yeah, and you hire a car while you're here as well. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm going to have a sip of my beverage. Oh, I didn't screw it up. You were being cheeky. Cool. I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay. But yeah, we're talking about how you earned yourself. It's a big mix of like you work so damn hard, Doug. Like I'm like when I grow up, I want to be like a mod like you. You know that. Like we've had this discussion. And you work so hard, and I was like, if you could have heard me cheer when I saw that, I was just like, yes, like it was awesome. I loved that you got that ticket. I think it's amazing. I have a couple of silver play YouTubers in the drone space that I would make a point to go spend time with while in Texas. That's the thing. Like, if like, and I've got a really good friend who lives in Texas now. She lives nowhere near. She doesn't live in Dallas. She lives in Houston, but she has told me that if I came to Dallas, she would drive down. So I'm like, okay, cool, good to know. So, and there's other things I'd love to see. Like I've always wanted to see Austin, Texas, right? There are things around there that I've seen online that I would like to see in real life. But again, I know it's hours away and I am not driving in the US. Like that terrifies me. But that's the thing. Like if you make the effort and make that trip, um, it's if you can spend an extra day or two there. Like you've already, like for me, I look at it like I've already gone all that way. Like, am I just going to come straight home? If it's a sponsored thing, like absolutely, I would just do what I need, like do what I could do, and then come back. But and be happy about, like over the moon about it. But if I was paying for like airfares to another country or airfares to another state, what else can I do while I'm there? Like, and how many more nights accommodation can I afford to be able to do all these extra things? Like that's my brain goes there. My brain goes there. Um, Doug's already looking into the process of renewing his passport. He needs new photos. I got mine done at the post office. They do passport photos. They are terrible. I just want to point out that I will never show my passport photos or my driver's license photo publicly. If I could avoid it. If there's any way that I don't have to show them, I won't show them. All right? Because I look like it looks like I've been caught by the police for something. Like it looks like a mugshot. It really does. It just looks they're bad. They're bad. Connecting is a high up on the reason. That's the only reason for me. It sounds terrible. It sounds terrible. I'm sure that the panels will be fantastic, and I would definitely sit in on panels, and watch as many as I can while I'm there as well. But meeting people is why I want to go. Meeting some of these people that I've been helping out for years, and getting some time with my online friends who I've made. Like I've never met Shelley in real life. I would love to meet Shelley in real life. I've met Nick and I've met Dee and I've met Andrew. I'd love to hang out with them more. I don't think Andrew's going, but I would love to spend more time with them. I would love to meet Brian G. Johnson. I think he would be a hoot. You know, I would love to meet Daniel Batal and Roberto Blake, like all these creators, and just meet them in real life and say hi and thank you and listen to their talks. But also, I'd love to meet the people that are there to learn, just like me. I'd love to make connections with people like me, you know, that are learning, that like, because yeah, sure, I'm here teaching people how to live stream. I'm still learning live streaming every single day because I'm trying to keep up with everything. Everything constantly changes. So I want to meet everybody. I want to meet everybody. I want to meet the StreamYard team. I want to meet the Ecamm team. I want to meet the TubeBuddy team. You know, like so much. There's so much I would do while I was there. I don't want to get excited about it though, because, you know, I'm going to have to live vicariously through Doug. So be prepared for that, Doug. Be prepared. I'm going to have questions. Livestream Consultants was watching Daniel's stream when he announced that Doug would be going to Vid Summit. Or Daniel's stream or Daryl's stream? So I'm confused. Yeah, as it says, if you look like your passport photo, you're too ill to travel. I haven't heard that before. I love it. If I end up looking like my passport photo, I would definitely be too ill to travel, for sure. For sure. You have a great camera in study. Just bring your own. No horizontal black and white shirts though. Oh, come on. I love a horizontal black and white shirt. Brian is a hoot. I can imagine he would be. I really can. I could imagine spending a lot of time laughing if I got to hang out and ever meet Brian. Oh, you have the same want to meet list as me? Oh, that is so awesome. That is so awesome. If I met you and Doug in person, I'd probably faint. Well, I just want you to know I'm really not strong. So if you fainted, I probably couldn't stop you from hitting the ground. So I might be able to like catch your head so you don't smash your head into the ground. I highly recommend not fainting near me. I would be useless to help you. I'm sorry. Um, stream console. I've learned a bit about how much gear to take from last time. Yeah, I honestly think I'd take my phone. I think that would be it. Phone and extra battery. And if by any chance I have a wireless audio, I would take that. So yeah, yeah. Doug says don't faint on me. um, I think Nick is such an amazing wealth of knowledge and so humble at what he does. I agree with you. I agree with you. There are some really phenomenal people that educate us, that teach us. Their goal is for us to get better at this. And that's what I want to be. I want to be somebody that helps you get better at this. But I'm still learning as well, constantly learning. And I think that's what we need to have. If we want to be YouTube educators, we not only need to be proficient in the thing that we're creating on. So whether it's coffee or live streaming or, you know, whatever our topic of choice is, our niche, our knowledge base, we need to have that. But we also need to have extensive knowledge on the platforms that we're working on. We need to understand as best we can how YouTube works, what we have to do to make YouTube work for us. We need to understand all of this. And that's why, even though I've been on this platform now for 8 years, streaming for, no, is it 8 or 10? I don't even know. I think it's 8 years. Streaming for 7 of that, only 6 of it on YouTube, but streaming for 7 of that. Understanding how it works, understanding what I need to give YouTube for them to find my audience. I need to do that every day. Better thumbnails, better descriptions, better titles, creating the package. I need to get better at that constantly. I'm like, if you go to my Fibrific channel, you can see my really old thumbnails. They are terrible. They're terrible thumbnails. And my thumbnails now, I still don't consider to be good thumbnails. They are adequate. I don't consider them to be good. And it's because I don't have like skills in that area, and I'm learning it. I'm constantly learning it. So as long as we have, like, we're coachable and we have the need to learn, and we understand other people know more than us about something important to us, we can still be coachable. And that's what I want to help all those people that I can, while I'm getting as much help as I can. So does that make sense at all? I don't know if it did, but that's how I feel. Let's have a look in the chat here. I think bringing too much gear is a common occurrence for those that attend. I agree. I wouldn't be able to help myself. Michael's like, yeah, I'd faint. I couldn't stop it. I mean, that's kind of the definition of fainting, right? Let me ask your opinions on. Let me ask you guys your opinion as a more seasonable person, age-wise. Yes. Do you think the niche is really here for older people to live stream? Yes. Yes. Because, all right, so example, I am in my late 40s. I believe Nick is either late 40s or early 50s. D is in his 50s. Daniel is in his 50s. Roberto's younger. I think, has Roberto hit 40 yet? I'm not sure. Russell, who is here, is considerably older. It depends on your niche, but I think that there is absolutely, if you are skilled and you have a topic to talk about and you have an audience, you can live stream it. You can live stream it. Look, when I very first started my YouTube journey, so I was in my mid-30s at the time, I was definitely in camp, I'm too old for YouTube. I really thought I was too old for YouTube. And then I've looked at what's the content I'm watching? Because I'm obsessed. I watch a lot of YouTube. And I realized that the people I was watching were older. They were my age. So I think that, and then I realized, well, if they're exceptionally handsome for their age, I will say. But they were my age, and age was not the barrier. Their entertainment factor, their knowledge is the barrier. If you have knowledge, I don't care how old you are. There are amazing people out there creating content in their 70s and 80s. There's a chick over on TikTok who's, I think she's in her 90s, and she is killing it. Age is not the barrier. Attitude is the barrier. Attitude and knowledge. If you have something that you want to share that you are good at, you share it. So if you're willing to learn how to live stream. Yes, your audience might be smaller, but you can train your audience. My audience over on my Fiberific channel are from my age up to 80s. They're the biggest thing. And I've taught that audience. I explain to them every in the live streams. I'll be like, hey, don't forget to click to double check that it says live chat, not top chat, if you want to see the conversation in order. I will explain how memberships work. I explain not to share your YouTube with your husband because you'll be getting his farming implements stuff. And are you interested in farming implements? Maybe not. So if you set up your own free YouTube account, your stuff won't show up in his feed and his stuff won't show up in your. You can educate your older audience. And they're needing less education because they are technologically hungry as well. Oh yeah, late 30s for Roberto. Yeah, I didn't think he'd hit 40 yet. Us plus Dad is 39 and live streaming Roblox with his daughters. Doug is a year or two older than me as well, so we're definitely we can do it. But First Coffee says I'm mentally in my 40s, but I'm going to be 70. There are like Shark Scrapper in Nick's streams. He's older. I don't know if he's 70 yet, but he's on the older scale as well. There's plenty of older streamers. I'll be 62 in a few months. There you go. The 15 Pro series has awesome cameras, apparently. I do have an iPhone. It's right here. I use it as a stream deck. It's an iPhone 7. Is it a 7? I think it's a 7. Yeah, see, you have experience. So I don't think anyone's past their prime as long as they're willing to learn and they have something that they're passionate about to talk about that other people are interested in. I think you can do it. I think just being in front of the camera for me is an issue, not the knowledge. Well, this is where you can book in a call, like a one-on-one call with me. And it's not a free thing, but you can totally do it. We can sit you down. We can help you make decisions over softwares and things like that. It's definitely an option. You know, you can book one-on-one calls with other people as well to work out what you're doing. You can always do this stuff. Doug doesn't want farming implements, apparently. I don't know why not, Doug. Like, seriously. Gamer Widows does want farming stuff. Yep. Okay. See, look. Yeah. It's attitude and expertise. And not just expertise on the live streaming, but expertise on the topic. Is there something you can talk about for half? I plan these live streams to be an hour. This is an hour and a half in. I'm still driveling on about live streaming. Driveling. It's not driveling. I'm imparting knowledge, Chantelle. I'm telling myself. You need to find a topic that you can talk about passionately for more than 30 minutes. If you can do that, you can live stream. Age is not the barrier. Making sure that you are settled and content with the streaming platform software that you are doing is helpful. It takes away some of the nerves, but it's entirely knowledge on a topic. StreamYard make it so simple to go live. You don't need bells and whistles. I mean, the StreamYard free, sure, it's a 720p and you'll have a logo in the corner. Try it out. You can always record something or go live but unlisted or private and test it. It's not going in blind. You don't have to go in blind. No, that's all good. Don't apologize. We're at the point where I answer questions. The topic is it's not done if somebody's got a question about that. Does Twitter show you my live comments? Yes, it does. Look at that. I can see it. It's got a little black X on it. I don't know if it does always. I know LinkedIn has problems. LinkedIn has problems. I don't get all the comments over from LinkedIn. So if you are watching from LinkedIn and you have commented, I haven't seen it. It's an issue. What happened, I actually contacted StreamYard about it and it's actually LinkedIn's end. They're not sending through all the stuff. It's frustrating. Let's see. All you need is a decent phone camera, a cheap wireless lav, and a shop light with a daylight bulb. Absolutely. And then you're set with StreamYard as your interface. It can be very simple. It can be very inexpensive, as long as you have access to something with a camera. And I'll be honest, the current iPhones, their audio isn't terrible. So while my first suggestion for people's upgrade is either lighting or audio, depending on what they've got. The MacBook Pro and the iPhone, the newest, like the 15s and the 14s, their microphones are not terrible. Okay, I'll just say that. Travel around, Susie. It's good to see you here. I love talking about my van life, but I think it's hard coming up with topics to live stream. It can be. It can be. I know, like, even last night, I was still tossing up if I wanted to broach this topic of preparing to fail, but I decided to go with it, and I'm glad you guys showed up for it. I appreciate you. It can be difficult, but what you can do is you can have like a starting topic, because the nature of live streams is they meander. They change depending on the audience. And if you allow that, you can allow that. You can choose not to allow it. It depends on how you want to run your live stream. It is definitely a way, like, think about the things that you needed to know when you started van life, the things that you've learned that you wish you knew earlier. And that could be the title of a stream. Like, 5 things I wish I knew before I started my van life. And you will probably find people who jump in and ask questions about those 5 things. And then it can veer. Like our topics, I normally have like a little bit of time at the start where I try very hard to keep on point. I don't always succeed. I'm a shiny things person. I know my personality. And try to keep it on topic for that first little section. But then you can veer and you can jump in, you can answer the questions, you can involve your audience, because at the end of the day, why are you doing this? I do this for you guys. I do this to answer your questions. I don't just do this to hear myself talk. I do this to help. So think about why you would want to live stream. Who are you trying to impact? What are the kinds of people that you are trying to affect in your live streams, or that you wished would attend your live streams? Think about those and then come up with the topics for those people. I think Chantelle is keeping the audience engaged besides having all eyes on me. Trying to keep you all engaged. I really am. Even after you've finished with the topic and Q&A. Oh, absolutely. Your questions are that's exactly right. Thank you, live stream consultants. Precisely. This is exactly why I'm live. I could have made this a video. I could have 100% sat down, recorded it as video. And that's a decision that I make as well. Would this be better as a standalone video, or would it work as a live stream? Will it help anybody? Will anybody have questions? And if I have a topic that I think is going to raise a lot of questions, like this one, it needs to be a live stream. I need to be able to answer the questions as best I can. Sometimes the answer is, I have no idea. You need to check this resource, or have you tried Googling it? Because I'm like, I don't know. Googling's the first step I'd do. But that's exactly why I would do that. Travel Around Susie says, I only have 2 people showing up to my live. That's cool and totally understandable, especially when live streaming is new for your channel. What I would be doing, if you want to broaden it, think about the video. Like, are you creating video content on your channel? Think about the topics that were most popular on those, and have a look. Is there a way that you could live stream about something similar? Think about what people are engaging with on the rest of your channel and look at it from that perspective. Also understand that not every audience has like people who like live streaming. Like, I know over on my Fiberific channel, it's a much bigger channel than this one. Only a small proponent of my audience like live streaming, which is hilarious considering I've only live streamed there for 2 years. I've not been putting out much in the way of video content. But not everybody likes to watch a live stream, and even less people like to watch a live stream replay. So these are decisions that you have to make. Would your time be better spent making a video? At least to start with, building your audience base up a little bit. On this channel, no, because it's a live streaming channel. It's about live streaming. I need to live stream on this channel. But for you, maybe making videos might be the step that you need to take a little bit more. Build your audience a little bit more, and see how it goes. But I'm always pro live streaming. Test things out live. Always go live. But you have to see what works for you. You have to see what works for your audience, because what works for my audience may not work for your audience. And only your sort of research can tell. You might only have 2 people showing up to your live. How many people are watching your replays? Check the impressions on your thumbnails. Maybe you need to do something with your thumbnails and your titling to entice more people in. There's a lot of nuance to why a live stream will or will not succeed or fail. And then also, how often are you going live? Are you going live regularly? Do you have same bat time, same bat station like what I do? Or do you go live randomly? You need to look at all of these. This all plays into how successful live streams will be. You are so relaxed at it. I've been doing it a long time. Oh, and LSC is also, I guess. Yeah. Value first every time. If I don't think something I'm doing is giving you value, then why am I doing it? That is the first thought whenever I'm thinking of a piece of content or a live stream or something, is what would the viewer get out of that? Because it's very easy for me to be super, super, super selfish and just do things that I want to do. What's the point of that? Why do I have this channel? Is it just a hobby? Then cool. Be selfish. Do whatever you want to do. Selfish sounds a negative word. It's not a negative word. Sometimes it's a self-care word. Do what you want to do. But if you want to grow on the platform, if you want income from the platform, you need to work out how to build the audience, at least a little. It doesn't have to be a huge audience. You don't need millions of people. It can be a little amazing, wonderful group of people like we have here, where I get, it sounds so, all right, it's going to sound so like, I get so much from being able to answer every single comment. If this was a bigger group, if it was a crazy stream, I would be a little disappointed. If my streams were like Nick's, where I couldn't help from the live chat, where I had to put a form in, like, sure, I would still do it. I would. But I feel like I get so much closer to you guys being able to read your comments fairly close to live. I know I'm a couple of minutes behind. I'm very sorry. But being able to help you out when you need the help. And I love being able to do that. So I think it depends on what your goal is. You are a very small channel. Well, maybe working on building your channel just a little and then trying live stream again. That's always an option. Or just keep live streaming and get better. Like, this is the thing. Keep live streaming and better your live streaming skills so that and still keep creating the other content. And as your channel grows, they grow with you in your live stream. This is what I did on my Fiberific channel. I slowly grew my skills as a live streamer publicly. So, yeah. Yeah, two is more than 0. Absolutely. And even if you have 0, it doesn't matter. You're building your skills as a live streamer. My first few streams had 0 people. I just did the prepared material and it was fine. That is the big thing, isn't it? That is the big thing. Do you have any prepared material? I always prepare that no one's going to show up. And it sounds silly, like, because you guys are amazing and you always show up. But I always prepare just in case nobody shows up. I may not be able to talk for an hour, but as long as I can talk for 15 to 20 minutes, that's good enough. If nobody shows up, then I end the stream. If I've got no one here live to help, I end the stream. My goal is the small piece of content. I make it a small piece because my goal is to answer your questions. So the small piece of content I deliver and we keep chatting and backwards and forwardsing. If it's a small or zero audience, deliver your content like it's a one-take video and just talk to the camera like there's just one person there. That's how I treat it. My camera is a friend. Now, after many years of practice, I might say, my camera is a friend that doesn't like me swearing in front of them. So I don't swear in front of my friend, the camera. I swear everywhere else, but I don't swear in front of my friend, the camera. And I talk to you and I help you. That's what I do here. Replay is around 25. I'm testing time plus working out on my thumbnails. Excellent. Constantly testing, constantly learning, constantly changing. We have to. It's the nature of the platforms we want to work on. You have to constantly do this. We're here keeping Gamer Widow's company while she works. That is awesome. I just think being comfortable in front of camera, whether anyone comes and watches, is not important. It's being comfy on a camera. Takes practice. I won't lie to you. When my first few videos, you can go and check them out. They're still on the Fiberific channel. They're terrible. I was stilted and nervous, and I don't like having my photo taken. I don't like being in front of camera. But I have made a friend of my camera. And you do things in front of your friends that you wouldn't do normally in front of strangers. So my friend, the camera, is my friend, and there's no judgment from my friend, the camera. Sony is very quiet. Doesn't really give me any negative feedback. So my friend, the camera, is kind. So yeah, that's how I think about it. My quiet friend, the camera, who just doesn't like it when I swear, is very kind and doesn't speak negatively to me. I'm doing live streams and videos, and I'm going to keep going. Excellent. Do that. But constantly be learning and tweaking and changing and testing, and be willing to be testing all the time, understanding that sometimes tests fail and sometimes tests succeed. Build on the things that succeed and you'll do awesome. You'll be fine. You can always privatize or purge it. I don't recommend deleting. It's a thing. I don't recommend deleting. I recommend putting things on private or unlisted. Yeah. Don't think too long, but give it some serious consideration. Do some research. Watch other streams in the same niche you want to jump into. That's an important point. Watch from the same niche that you want. So go and find other coffee live streamers. And if there aren't any, go and watch some coffee content that's popular and see what the questions are people are asking in the comments area. And if they're questions you could answer, that's a great place to start for your live streams. Answering your coffee questions, and grab a couple and like, this question here was, you don't have to specify that you saw it on another channel, this or in another place. I find a lot of my questions are people asking questions in Facebook groups because someone's asked the question. If someone has actually taken the time to type it out, there's probably somebody who's thinking the question that doesn't want to be the person to ask it. So that's I see it from that perspective. Go in, see what the questions are people are asking. Is it something that you can help them with, and go from there? That's the same for you as well. Travel around Susie. Go and check out other van life content. See what other van life content live streamers are doing. If there aren't any or any that you can find, then go and watch some of the content and see what the questions are. Because the goal of a live stream, in my opinion, is to help people. So if you can help them live, that's the goal. After a few years of Zooming, the camera is much less intimidating than it used to be. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. All right, lots of good ideas. All righty, my friends, on that note. Oh, hang on. Doug's got an excellent point. Only delete for copyright or guideline issues, or a video that is technically wrong or factually wrong. Yes. If there is something incorrect, delete it. If it's a copyrighted guideline, delete it. But YouTube have come out and specifically said, when you delete a video, anybody who previously watched that video has been deleted. Their data is deleted. So it's like the connection to your channel. If it's only from that video, that connection is gone. Now, if it's a connection of content that you are not making anymore, or you made a silly video and that's they keep coming back wanting more than that connection's not technically a bad thing to delete. But you don't want to delete people's connections to your live streams if you are wanting to make more live streams. So only delete for copyright guideline issues or if it's factually incorrect or technically incorrect. I love this. Thank you, Doug. Oh, there we go. Another person who named their my camera's name is Vitade. Sony is mad at me, and my Lumix and Canon are giving me the stink eye. See, this one is the big D. This is the big D, because I only have one D, 70D, so big D. Unlist or private, absolutely. You have alternatives. There are options. There are options. Alrighty. Everybody who has made it to the live, those of you that are listening, if you've got more questions, drop them in the comments below. In the meantime, I'll be back next week and I will see you all here. Otherwise, I'll see you in streams that I'm modding around the traps. Have an awesome week. Have a go, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.